You are listening slash watching wherever you are to Mental Health on the Mic. I'm your host, Bennett Shear, and I am back for another season, and I'm really excited. And today I have a friend with me because I love to have my friends on and peers. So please welcome Lorraine.
Hi guys.
Hey, okay, so mental health.
Yes.
It's something that I'm very passionate about because everybody says, like there's a stigma, then we don't talk about it enough. So I wanted to create a show that allows us to do that. And it started for me as a project where I could kind of just be very open and conversational, because I think that that's where it starts, right? Is sometimes it's hard to take those first steps and go for it. But what I found when I did this last year was that really we're not alone. And that's why it is so important to have these conversations. It's a bit cliche, Lorraine, but like if you had to think of one or two reasons why mental health is really important for you, what would you say?
I just think overall, like it's just important to make sure that you're aware and you're in connection with what's happening up there. And it's a big part of who we are. I know people who struggled more than I have in life thus far. And it's not, it's there's really dark places. And so I feel for those who are really going through it right now, who have went through it.
I totally feel that. And I think personally, from my experience, I have been, also on the end of kind of not maybe experiencing the most extreme moments. And at the same time, I've struggled. And I can only speak for my experiences. But one thing I kind of wanted to bring up was I feel like it's so important to be aware of like what's going on up here in our brains and kind of balancing that with our responsibilities. Because whether it's school or work, life, family, it can be really tough to keep all of our regular day-to-day things going when something doesn't feel right, but we feel this pressure, right, to keep going and don't let things get to you and just put it in the back of your mind. But when we do that, sometimes it builds up, and that's not usually good.
Yeah, no, I think balance is very important. I feel like our lives are very, it's so chaotic and so busy, job and school and work and friends. Like it's kind of like some people put everything before themselves. And that is not good. Like you said, it just builds up and builds up and builds up. And then you just like melt down.
Yeah, I mean that really goes into my next thing I wanted to ask you, which is do you ever feel like struggles that you may have can distract you from those day-to-day things, school, work, any of that?
Definitely. It's a big component. I mean, like if that's just like constantly in the back of your head and it just keeps piling on, eventually it's gonna like surface. And then whatever you're doing, it's gonna be like this like signal that's thing that you're like, it's there and I need a release, but I have this to do, I have this to do. So like that has to come after. And then you just never get to it. And then it gets to a point where you're just like, it's just there and you have to deal with it and you're like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
I totally do. I mean, for me, my main struggles are with anxiety and ADD. So, anxiety is very hard to just put in the back of your mind because when you have things that are worrying you and you try to say just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Like for me, I don't just think what if, I think what if and then what if because of that. And then there's like a spiral where I start to wonder what the effects of different things that might happen are, like I don't know. It always, there's always something going on when I'm already worried about one thing. I'm like worried about the next thing and the next thing. And that's just from my
Right.
experience. And then as far as ADD, I mean, I just have a very hard time focusing on one thing. So like you can imagine with anxiety, that's probably why it's like they're like counteracting each other or like fighting with each other. Like the idea that I can't only be worried about one thing. I have to worry about this and this and this. Um, just in general, I feel like ADD for me and like many others with ADD, ADHD, just in general, trying to focus on something important can be really difficult when your mind wanders. And it doesn't always have to be that your mind is wandering because it's going to a dark place or an anxious place. It can sometimes be as simple as, wow, I really gotta, finish my homework, but I'm really distracted by this TV show that's going to be on tonight, or I'm really distracted because I can't wait to go see a friend, or I can't wait to go eat at this restaurant. And like, I don't know, that's like the less serious end of it, but I also feel like it can be tough when you're kind of constantly always thinking about the next thing.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have those experiences, but I've seen other people have, ADHD and with that counteracting that, like it's just it's an unfortunate mix that you have to, persevere and overcome and deal with as you go. So I commend you for that because that's a hard feat that you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's really great to have support. It's also really great when you know that you're not alone because there are other people to deal with it. The more that I think about it, I feel like in general, all of us being different, whether it has to do with how we learn, how we think, what we bring to the table, there's like my mind is going in all kinds of different directions. There's the ADD. It's just like I'm thinking about how like all of us like diversity makes the world go around and how all of us being different
Mm-hmm.
and bringing differences to the table, beyond how we think but who we are and where we come from. I mean, that's something that I think is really important for mental health too, is like we all have different experiences, and so we might have different perspectives, you know.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like my perspective, as far as kind of my journey with mental health, I started this last year during the pandemic. I was just kind of looking for a way to express what I was feeling in a way that maybe therapeutic while also helping others feel less alone, because that's really important to me. And the main reason that I started this podcast was I was diagnosed with epilepsy, so a medical condition that was very difficult and scary for me to get. And I took leave of absence from school because of it, and it kind of like totally rocked my world, I guess. And then this past September, I decided I wanted to go back to school. I felt ready. It was the right time. Applied to a different place, got in, and less than a week later, I started having seizures again, like after almost a year of nothing. So that was really difficult. And I'm doing okay. I'm still able to go back to school. But like here I am again, kind of faced with this difficult time in my life where I just feel like talking about it does help. And again, that just is speaking from my experience. But Lorraine, I wonder if you ever have had a time in your life where you just feel like, as scary as things might be or as rough as things might be, talking about it really can make a difference.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me was the feeling of grief, and I think the pandemic kind of sparked that for me because I actually lost, 2 family members due to COVID-19 in, like, the midst, like, it was, like, 2 weeks apart, like, my grandfather passed and then a close family friend passed 2 weeks later, and what made it hard was that the pandemic, like, restrictions, and so I couldn't go to the funeral. So I had 0 closure whatsoever. So I was just dealing with this loss. So because of that, it was a very rough time because I feel like I had no proper healing process where I could like just have that like final mental goodbye type thing. So, you know, with the pandemic, like I couldn't see family. I couldn't like receive sympathy, like touch connection. Like it wasn't like that. So I felt really isolated and alone. So I feel like, unfortunately I had like, my parents, I talked to them about it. I had friends I could FaceTime and, kind of have like a therapeutic talk with them. So I feel like in terms of that, like talking really was I was able to get like the horrible grieving emotions that I was feeling and just kind of have some kind of release, I guess. So yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm very sorry that you went through that. And yeah, I know that so many people have been dealing with grief as a result of the pandemic. And it makes me think too about grief in general, because imagine having somebody that you love and being able to say goodbye and have that time. But as you said, we don't always get that chance in life. And a lot of people over the past year, I think about personally, I can admit that the only difficulty I faced, other than maybe my, epilepsy during this pandemic, was you know, being isolated. Like that's difficult in theory, but I didn't have to experience the loss of a loved one due to COVID, and I did not have to go through it myself. I never even got COVID. So like, I feel like, well, who am I to complain or whatever? But I wonder, the world is kind of getting back to normal. So for people who have been dealing with grief during this time, it probably isn't as normal for them. Like they've got to, they're dealing with something that many of us can't relate to. So I imagine that's got to be difficult. I know you can speak to it, and I imagine that you would have quite a bit to say about it.
Yeah, it's just a whole different type of like environment and world. I feel like my family is always like I've never had, you know, like a death in the family. Like that was never a thing until COVID hit. I mean, my grandfather had a mental illness, so he was already in a nursing home, and so that was not the best in terms of COVID. It kind of ravaged through there. But I didn't experience grief until then, and it was like the worst possible time to experience that because again, all the restrictions, it made it very hard to heal from that. So I think for many of us, it's definitely a hard time just to like. There was already so many things happening, like you see on the news. It was never a good day to look at the news. Like it was always one bad thing to the next, and then you just have this, and it's like a whole other thing that's going on in your life. Like the whole world is like on fire, and then you
Yeah.
have like that. So it's like fueling the fire almost. And like if one good thing happens, it like you pour a little water and then boom, fire again. Like it's just it was a lot. And I really feel for those who also had that happen to them because it's a rough time for sure.
It was a rough time, and I think the reality is that in some ways the world kind of still is on fire, and like
Yeah.
I think that you know everybody said, "Oh, 2020 is terrible," and they thought it'd be over to come 2021, and I feel like the reality of the situation is. Whether you're talking about COVID or politics or the environment, everything that we might be thinking, God, the world's on fire, I sort of feel like this is going to sound really negative, and the world is kind of always on fire. But that's not to say it's also there's aren't always good things happening at the same time, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's just like a cycle. I feel like maybe that's what I've taken away from this time period.
Hmm. No, I agree. I feel like it, it's always kind of, I feel like the world has never been at peace.
Yeah,
And I guess people like strive and they hope and they pray for peace. And it's like, you know, I, I don't really know how that comes about. I mean, there's like great things that happen, like you said, but there's always something going on,
yeah.
you know?
And I mean, I'm sure that every generation somebody says, "Oh, we're going to be the ones to fix it." And I know that a lot of people think that our generation, the one after, that we've got a lot to say, we've got a lot we can do to make change. Honestly, like genuinely, I kind of believe that might happen just because I've seen the way that I feel and my peers feel on a variety of topics. I feel like uh, how are we supposed to have perfect mental health when you see what's going on in the news? Our generation is feeling that, and we're saying we're not accepting it, which I think is amazing, right? Like to say, hey, this is affecting our mental health. It's depressing to see what's on the news. It gives us anxiety. It affects us directly. So we're going to do something about it. Like to take action. I mean, that's like that to me is like why I feel hopeful. It's that as scary as things might feel, we can take action,
No, I have
whatever that
hope
means.
too. I really feel like we're like the generation of like, we're gonna do it, like
Yeah.
just do it. Like I feel like we're like the action people. I don't know how like best to
Yeah.
say it. But like I feel like we're not just gonna sit there and like accept it. We're gonna do something about it. So I feel like in that respect, we're gonna be able to do so much more because that's just how we are compared to other generations.
Yeah, I almost wonder, I don't know if you ever feel this way. Like, so there's our generation, then there's like the little kids, and I almost feel like we sort of have a responsibility to like teach them what right
Yeah.
from wrong. Like, I know there's a lot of different opinions about a lot of different things, but as far as like us having the opportunity to be the ones to go out and protest, be the ones to go out and you know, whether it's getting involved with the government, whether it's just a simple act of starting a movement at your school to help with climate change. I don't know, just anything. Like the next generation even after us, I feel like they're the ones that are probably most scared because they haven't seen it at all. So we can be like, all right, well, this is how it's done. This is how you fight back when things don't go your way. I feel like.
Yeah, it's a good point though, because like, we think about like what we're doing is gonna affect the next. generation and the generation after
Right.
that. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
So I feel like our generation's kind of like really taking into an account what we're going to be able to do and how it's going to affect others. Where I feel like maybe some generations didn't think it through. You got like, or like, you know what I mean? So I really commend us for that because I feel like, yeah, we're taking action, but we're also like, okay, what is this going to do for us? And then what is it going to do for the next? And so I think the little ones have hope.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have something that's gonna be great. So
Yeah. I agree. And talking about anxiety itself can sometimes be stressful, but I think, there's also a lot of things that can help us de-stress, whether we have a routine or an activity, music, television. What comes to mind to you when you think about like either self-care or just in general, you know, de-stressing?
well, good thing you brought that up because I feel like now we can kind of segue into what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So so we so me and you bonded over this one show
Yeah.
that was like iconic in so many ways. But as an only child,
Oh, wait, you're an only
I'm an only
child?
child. Yes, I
Oh
am.
my God. Join the freaking club. Wait, what? Wait,
So
hold on, hold
like
on. That didn't make any sense. Join the club. You're part of it. What am I saying?
I
I don't
joined
know.
well,
I was just
I don't
talking with
know.
my mom about being an only child and how I have curiosities. Anyway, continue.
No, so this is where it gets interesting because I'm like an only child. So, I rely constantly on my friends for, majority of like my social time. Cause like I want to talk to my parents like 24/7. Like I love them, but like I want to be with like kids my age. I didn't have a big sister or a big brother or little brother to like share stuff with or talk about like deep personal topics. So when my friends, I would constantly go to them, but when they're busy, I would resort to watching my favorite show. And I was and so the show Victorious was like one of my biggest outlets because I felt personally involved. I felt a part of it. It sounds crazy, but like it was more than
Yeah.
just a show for me. It was like a place where I could for like 30, 25 minutes sit down and be in this world and I felt in it and I loved it. And Victoria Justice, Tori Vega, like she was my icon. Like I looked up to her so much, and I just love the show. So that's my little thing. So that's why I love this show.
I think we all would have loved to go to Hollywood Arts High School. I mean, who wouldn't
Yeah,
have? And yeah, it's like, you've got Tori, who's crazy talented, and Andre and Robbie, who's just like makes me laugh in ways that, because he's like, he makes me so uncomfortable, but that's
I know.
like how it's supposed to be. Jade,
Yeah.
you kind of don't really want to piss her off, and then Kat, who's just, I love to impersonate her laugh. I won't do it because like that's
I used to do it so good. You would not believe. Like I used to really get into it. Like I could do it really. I don't think I can do it now, but I used to like kind of get it spot on. So that's kind of funny. I
yeah.
do
I
that
mean,
with
I
you.
mean, Cat. Okay, Trina. Yeah, Trina was funny. I was losing my. I was thinking about Sam and Cat. That's why I got distracted. I didn't really like that show that much, but
No, I mean it was. I mean I get the concept. I
yeah,
thought the concept was good to like merge the two and opposites, but
maybe better on paper than it actually.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, I just assume you watch these shows because if you didn't, I'm just like
If you haven't, go on
kind of.
Netflix right now
Yeah,
and like you
yeah.
have to experience it. Like if you don't, you're missing out for real.
Oh yeah. Well, I do have a little list here of some questions maybe we could ask each other about Victorious because I knew this topic would come up. So first on this list here, who is your
Okay.
favorite character?
The thing is like I think when I was younger, I would have to say Tori just because like, but I feel like now I've really grown to appreciate Andre.
Uh-huh.
And that might not be a popular opinion. I don't really know. But I just after watching the episodes over and over, like as a teen, I really think Andre is a really good character that should not be skipped over.
It's a solid answer because he was responsible for many of the songs that actually got
Mhm.
made in the show, and crazy talented. I love when, do you remember the Diddley Bops? When
Yeah.
he had to make a song about favorite foods, and then he actually turned it into a real song, and then the music producer came and
Uh-huh.
actually liked him. Although plot hole because the music producer never did anything with him and he never got signed to a record label, but whatever.
It was a fun episode.
It was. My favorite character. It's tough because I feel like when I think of comedy and I think of like actual character, I kind of have different things. Comedy.
Mhm.
Honestly, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and overall say Kat, just to keep it
Okay.
simple because she's funny
Mhm.
and she has this like zest for life that is refreshing to see from a high school student.
Mm.
And I like
Right.
the adorable, childish way that they made her. And it was a bit surreal to watch her transformation because I do think she got a little bit like crazier as the seasons progressed. Just
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like I hate to
The
say,
Bibble.
yeah, no, yeah, no, Bibble. There we go. There's an example I'm looking for. Sometimes it was like concerning the things she said because it was a little bit like, how do I say this in a PC way? Unintelligent, but but
Yeah. Mhm.
but it's okay because
Yeah.
she's adorable. Okay, least favorite character.
Oh my God. Is like, are you talking about like the main characters or like,
It can be main, recurring, guest star.
um, I don't remember his name, but that's not really a good answer. Um,
Wait, now I'm curious.
it was the one of the
Ryder?
boyfriends, yeah, Ryder Daniels.
He's a
I did not like his vibe at all. Like, it made me really I just didn't like it.
me
But
neither.
I liked the episode. I just didn't like him as a character, obviously for obvious reasons. Because I feel like personally, like I hate when people like use
Yeah.
others to like gain. Like that really pissed me off. But just like for like a main character, I guess I'd say Sinjin. I like him, but he really grossed me out. But kind of in a good way, so I don't really know. I have love-hate relationship with that.
I was thinking Sinjin too, because I have this memory that sticks out. Well, not really like that specific, because like his locker is filled with like spit up pieces of food all over the locker, and I'm like, I
And
can't.
like the president's teeth or
Oh my
whatever, like
god.
what the hell was that? He was just creepy in general. Like I did not like how he acted towards like the girls on the
Oh
show. Like
no, he
I
wouldn't. They
did
wouldn't
not
write a
like
character
that.
like that in 2021, which is
No,
probably a
they
good
wouldn't.
thing. I mean, he had funny moments, but
No, he did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is kind of impossible, but I was gonna ask what your favorite episode is.
Oh my god. Um, how about get back to me because I need to look at some right now
Oh wow.
because
Okay.
I want to make this a really good answer. So you
Okay.
say yours, and then
Okay.
I'll get back to you if I do.
Um, I mean, I haven't really given like a ton of thought to it other than, oh wait, no, Freak the Freak Out was good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But the episode that I think should have been the finale was Tori Goes Platinum.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they never had like a goodbye like episode. Like it was there was never like a concluding
I
episode.
know
They never
why.
had
I
one.
couldn't believe it when I heard.
iCarly had one. They had a
Yeah.
goodbye, whatever. I don't know why Victoria's didn't. I guess they just wasn't prepared. I don't really know what happened there.
I mean, that show was so popular, you would think they would do it. Like, I did not
I
get that.
know
And
that
that,
really actually broke my heart because I felt like
yeah.
there wasn't like a proper closure for me. Um, or I guess I'd have to say my favorite was back in season one. It was Survival of the Hottest when they were in the RV.
Oh,
That was a good one in my
that was a
opinion.
good one. Fat Biscuit, the rapper.
Yes, that biscuit the rapper. That was so good.
Uh,
Or Paparazzi. Paparazzi's always a classic. I
Roborazzi,
just
starring Robbie
yeah. So
Shapiro.
Robbie Shapiro. No, you should end this recording just saying that because you actually did a pretty good impersonation of
Roborazzi.
how we did
I
it.
thought, well, I thought of when you mentioned the Ryder Daniels, I remembered when Robbie dressed up like him because he thought more girls would like him, and I was
Yes.
like, dude, thank you for telling me what to not do when I want to impress a girl.
Yeah, don't do that. That was like the worst message to send to like tween boys and girls on like national television.
He's just
Yeah, just dress them up.
and I remember vividly like his creepy demeanor. He's like, I realized that the perfect way was to tweak my appearance, and it was like, ugh, dude, just. And the girl is
Well,
like, I'd
what's
rather,
interesting is they did really well. Like it kind of looked like they looked a
yeah.
little like similar too.
But right, but then the lesson is be yourself. Don't try to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
be.
right.
Yeah, I'm sure we could go on all day about many a shows. Maybe we'll discover some other ones we both watch. But lastly, well, actually not lastly, second to lastly, do you have a favorite song from the show?
Oh my God. Um. Okay. Oh my God. Funny story about this. So I used to have one of those like iPod shuffles, like the
Oh,
little like small square, and you could like download music on it. And so
right.
my mom like spent hours one night just downloading every single song from every single Victoria's album, even some Mariah Cosgrove songs, because those are bops, some of them.
Yeah.
And they were all on this shuffle, and I would just like religiously listen to them all the time. I have so many. I can't pick one. I really like the birth week song, like You're the Reason, but I liked it slowed down where she like I think like the original, like when she like re-recorded it, it was actually more like, like a slower song, which I just really like it. Um there's another good one. Oh, Song to You with Andre
Yeah, the one
and
from the
Tori.
Diddley.
That was
Yeah.
so good. That was
Although,
so good.
yeah, the one, even the song when they had the favorite foods was, oh, Broken Glass. It's fun
Oh my
to
god.
run, it's fun to
For
play.
like yeah. Yeah. That was so good. And like Give It Up honestly was iconic.
Oh
You
yeah.
know. That was a bop. Like
It's
every time
like
you listen to it, you're like, okay.
that's like real pop music level status.
No, for real. That was like that shook the nation, I
Well,
think.
well,
That was
they
really
had. I mean, they had like the biggest pop producers in the game at the time doing a lot of the
good.
songs, which is why I'm sure they were what they were. I feel like this would take a while, but like I also wrote down like what would be the perfect series finale for Victorious since they didn't have one.
I guess it would be what they did after being at Hollywood Arts. Like what each character, what their like next chapter was for them. I feel like that would be what I would want because it's like, yeah, they were at Hollywood Arts, they did high school. So like what is after that? Like where did they go? Who are they now? And that'd be a great thing to do for like a reunion. Like we could have a like Carly did, like something similar to that. I mean, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but if it does, I think that would be a great like what they're doing after Hollywood Arts.
I would have to agree. I think like in most cases, well, they can't just like stay at Hollywood Arts because they're older. They also should not just do a reboot where they get a new generation of kids because I don't want anything to do with that. So, like you said, I think a
Right.
reunion would be best. But as a like a segue from that, I know that you've mentioned like, and we both have agreed that we wish that Hollywood Arts was real. We wish we could have attended that school.
I
Now,
know. It was
as
a
I've
big disappointment when
I
I went to
know
high school. And I was like, this is
not.
astronomically different than what I pictured, but
Yeah. Oh well.
that's TV for you. Yeah.
Right. Well, but I am taking my very first trip to California in a week. So,
Yes, I remember we talked about this
yeah.
because I recently came back from California on a trip that me and my mom took. And you're like, actually, I'm planning on going out there. So, like, give me some info. Like, how did
Yeah.
you like it? And I gave like a whole rundown. So, that's exciting. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to go there and I feel like the weather is like good for mental health because having beautiful weather,
No, so
raining,
we can
maybe
like talk
like
about that because I feel
yeah.
like there's like seasonal depression's a thing. Um, I mean, I don't know if you've experienced it, but I actually don't really experience it that often. Like, I find like in the winter, like when it snows or rain, like I don't feel like negative or I don't feel low during those times. Like, I feel like people in the winter, they're just like, and summer, they're like So like I don't know like how you feel. But I never experienced that, so it's hard to like
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah, I kind of I don't think I really experienced it either. I mean, I do not like winter as a season. I strongly prefer uh spring, summer, but I don't know. I feel like I mean my mental health for me doesn't really have like a season in the sense that I'll like my good days and bad days come all year round and I kind of just I don't really think of it as a seasonal thing. That being
Okay.
said, I know that a lot of people go through seasonal depression, and I'd be interested
Hmm.
to see, this season on the show. Like some people may bring that up because I know in the past, last year, I had some people come on and say that this was a tough time of year for them because, they just tend to get sad or confused or upset, worried. Those feelings tend to pop up around this time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. By the way, this is really random, but so are you a dog person?
Very much so.
Okay. Well, I for a long time have not been, and it comes from a slightly embarrassing fear, which I think is somewhat justified considering I was almost attacked by a German Shepherd 3 years ago.
Okay, so here's the thing with that, because I can say it's really based on experience. If someone has like a traumatic or like near traumatic experience, it's gonna change their whole outlook. Like
Right.
I've personally for me, like I never had a bad dog experience, so that's why I like freaking love dogs. But I had a cat who like was the weirdest cat on the planet. Like it was before, like we had her for 16 years. Like she was before I was born. They got her because my parents had Great Danes, and they needed a cat that was gonna be able to like live with the Great Dane, you know. So they picked the cat in the store, like the only one that was like out of its cage in the middle of the room. Every other cat was scared, like gonna crap. Like they were so scared of this one cat, and they picked that cat. So that cat was my version of a cat for my like entire life. So it was just mean. I mean, not mean, but like she just you couldn't cuddle her. Like she wasn't a cuddly cat. Like you could pat her, then she'd bite you. Like it. What I so for a long time, like I personally like dogs over cats because my cat was like a monster in my mind. But like I kind of tortured it too. Like I would like chase it around. But besides the point, so I feel like it's very subjective. So it's interesting you say that because I was like, if he didn't like dogs before, it's probably because he had like an experience in the past. So that's
Yeah.
my little spiel.
Well, see, I have had an experience in the past, but I think I may recently this weekend have turned a corner. Um,
Really?
So, my cousins came to town, and I got to be honest, and I told them this. So if they hear this, I assume no feelings will be hurt because they know that I'm not crazy about dogs. I was nervous because they got a new dog, half Dalmatian, half something else. I don't know what. But anyway, I was nervous because I already, had gotten over the fear several years ago of their one dog who I got used to and was okay. And then I knew there was a new dog coming. So anytime there's a new dog, I kind of get nervous. This thing just like I found myself adoring it. Like unlike I'd adored a dog before, except for I had a friend who I hadn't seen in a couple of years who had a dog I really liked, but never since then have I felt this comfortable around a dog to the point where I was sitting there petting it, playing with it. And it knew a trick and I got it to do the trick. And I was like, what is happening to me? Because I was like, oh God, I got to deal with this dog. And now I miss the thing. And I'm like, I felt like this was worth bringing up because I believe that dogs and pets in general are very good for mental health. I don't know if this means I'm going to get a dog. I think with my other priorities right now, I probably will not. But um, let's discuss how pets can be helpful to our mental health.
No, like it's a big one for sure. I feel like a lot of people choose that route because it's like it's good to have a companion like that who's really loyal, who is gonna like be by your side literally, and it's therapeutic for a lot of people. I think they train. I've seen like all over TikTok. I'm like a sucker for TikTok, but there's these videos of like these people who have like service dogs for mental health and like certain tendencies that they have, like when they're anxious or anxiety, like in a store, like they have the person sit down and like breathe and calm down. They like give like a hug. Like it's a real thing, and I think it's really great.
Oh yeah. I mean, wait, what kind of dog do you have? Or dogs do you have?
I have one dog. It's a very little thing. She's like a poodle Shih Tzu Maltese, like 16 pounds, like really small. So yeah, but she's my little like baby child. Like I love her so much, and you know, when I'm sad, like she's someone I gravitate towards because she's always here. She's like a sibling I never had, basically. Like she kind of acts as that little fill-in, and I think it's really great.
Wow. Now, yeah, I think I have a little bit doggy fever. I never thought I would even. That's like,
No, I love that.
yeah, it's
Love
like
that.
I feel like I mean this is kind of weird.
Welcome to the club, like
I
you
was
said
gonna
before.
say it feels kind of weird, but it's almost like I feel like an adult that's like I'm never having kids, and then and then he's like
Or
I wanna,
or like it's like the dad who doesn't want the dog or like doesn't
yeah.
like think he'll love the dog, and then like 2 days later they're like sleeping together on the couch. Like it's like that. It's like the same thing.
No, yeah, it's I think a dog would be good for me. It would teach me responsibility. It would give me a
Mm.
companion. It would do all sorts of things. So perhaps that'll be something I think about. Well, we covered a lot of ground here, and I think that we talked
Yeah,
about a lot of. I think
there's
we.
so many topics. I
I'm
hope
trying
everyone
to.
who's listening is like okay right now because we like jump from one thing to the next.
That's how it's supposed to be. I mean, I listen to my
Yeah, for
favorite
sure.
radio show of all time, Elvis Duran in the Morning Show, and they go from talking about Clifford the Big Red Dog to like inappropriate R-rated things that parents have to turn off if their kids are in the
I love
car.
that.
So anyway, I'm wondering if there's anything else that we should cover, we didn't cover. Lorraine, anything that you want to bring up about mental
I
health?
don't think so. I think we covered most of the bases. Um, yeah. I mean, whoever's like, anyone who's going through something right now, just know you're not alone, and light will come. Just be patient.
I can speak to that. Know that you're not alone, and know that whatever you believe in, whether it's whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, if you don't believe whatever it is, um, things are going to work out. And for me, it's been hard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've had a really really tough month with my epilepsy. That to me has scared me. It's put me in a place where I've felt very alone and very uncertain. But I try to think of the things that keep me going and keep me excited, like this podcast, like my other projects, my creative endeavors, and my friends and my family and the people that make life worth living. And so I just hope that whatever you're going through, if anything, that I hope it gets better. And if you're happy, celebrate that. Celebrate yourself. Love yourself. Enjoy you. And hey, there's how many days left in 2021? Make it about you. Treat yourself.
Yes.
And
Amen.
if you haven't watched Victorious, what are you doing? Watch
Watch
Victorious. It's
Victorious. Go
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix
Okay.
right now. And like just thank Bennett. Like this is a great series, and I think what he's doing is amazing. So rate him on whatever platform this goes on or you're using. I don't know. But just or send like a message, DM him, just be like, thank you. Just like simple like that. Just like praise this guy because he's amazing.
I appreciate the shout out, Lorraine, and I thank you so much. I don't, and you know
Of
what? My
course.
expectations are very low. Unlike, I'll be very real. Last year, I put way too much pressure on myself to get like thousands of listeners, and I'm okay with anything. Honestly, the reason I'm doing this half is because I'm inspired by this YouTuber who I really like, who will probably never hear this, but Sadie Kroll, if you're listening, I love your channel. I think that it's awesome. I think that you're real, you're authentic. I think I'm running out of things to say. That's all right. Thank you guys so much for listening to Mental Health on the Mic.